It's the Shatkin First Down Pregame Show, presented by Dr. Todd Shatkin and the Aesthetic Associates Center, with your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Dr. Jared Shatkin. And our special guest, Buffalo Bills alum Eric Wood. Now, from the Shatkin Sports Network studios in Amherst, here are your hosts, Rich Gaenzler and Jared Shatkin.
Welcome to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Rich Gaenzler, Dr. Jared Shatkin, Eric Wood will be joining us, the Mafia as well. We're going to talk about the New England game coming up, but first, let's talk about the Bengals game. And of course, it has seemed to happen multiple times this year where the Bills fall behind and or the offense is just not clicking for one reason or another. And yet something happens in game that flips the script, if you will. It happened again in this game with the defense making consecutive plays on consecutive drives, similarly to what had happened against the other AFC North team from a week prior in the Steelers. So again, you talk about complimentary football. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, well, I think the offense was moving the ball. I think they just weren't finishing some of those early drives with touchdowns, and they were stalling out a bit. And I think the second half they turned it on, but yes, absolutely. The defense makes opportunistic plays. They're shorthanded. It's extremely difficult to stop Joe Burrow shorthanded with no pass rush, and he made him look a little bit novice in some situations. Burrow was out there reading the defense, making the right plays. I think it was 9 for 11 on third down. So I mean, the defense didn't look great, but the opportunistic plays were huge.
And it was the defense that ultimately provided the victory, because if you were going to weigh the two offenses and points produced, the Bills lose that game. So let's talk a little bit about the offense. And here's Josh. Again, pressure. But in the last couple of weeks, he's gone back into Superman mode, and it just always seems to happen this time of year.
Yeah, I love it that it happens right going into the playoffs. He seemed very comfortable out there, knew where he was going with the ball, and even if he didn't know where he was going with the ball, he was confident in the throws he was making. That throw to Shakir is, one for the ages, one of the best I've ever seen. He scampers 40 yards. I mean, what else can you say about him? The guy is definitely firmly back in the MVP discussions, and I think the Buffalo Bills are back on the map.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're a guy that has said for years on this show about how it's most important to be good at the end, right? Mm-hmm. The defense, though, I mean, it still has holes, right? I mean, there were guys that got maybe abused as a little too strong of a word, but Taron Johnson on a number of occasions, Trey White on a number of occasions. Yep. There were still some holes in that defense that if you're going to be a championship team, you can't have.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Joe Burrow was having his way, and he's a very cerebral quarterback, and so is the guy that's coming up in New England, a guy that can do a lot before the snap. So I think pass rush is very important against a team like that, and we just didn't have it. But hopefully, I think getting Joey Bosa back again will be huge. I think missing him was big during that game. I think some guys that got exposed, Cam Lewis and maybe Maxwell Harrison a little bit as well on that touchdown by Higgins. Going into the playoffs, this defense needs to come around, but most importantly, I think the coaching staff needs to realize the best way we're going to do this is continue to be opportunistic on turnovers and coach that up.
I got to talk tight ends quickly, because obviously we know what the Bills tight ends did. I mean, Knox, and I've beaten this drum way too many times on this show and on social media and the like, that I still believe that the Kincaid pick was a waste. I think Dawson Knox can play. He showed it in that game. Kincaid is slow to come into the game, to be part of the game plan, largely in part, I'm assuming, coming off of injury, and Knox is fantastic. Not to say that Kincaid wasn't great and Hawes was terrific in every level that he performs in. So that's the Bills tight ends. But let's go over to what the Bengals did with their tight end, and how Josh McDaniels with Hunter Henry has got to be drooling over the possibility of what he might be able to do against that back end.
Yeah, no, a guy like Mike Gesicki, he's a good tight end, but he's nothing, elite. And he was definitely able to expose the defense a bit. We got smaller cornerbacks. We got Cam Lewis playing against these bigger guys. So they have to go in with a good game plan. And I think a guy like Jordan Poyer needs to step up in this game at safety. And I think Cole Bishop maybe has to play a little better. And hopefully he's okay with the cramping. But we have to step up defensively if we're going to be able to stick with this Patriots offense, because they're putting up big plays and they're putting up big points every week.
I like where they're, don't get me wrong, I like where they're at. I'm very optimistic about the Bills going forward, largely in part because of their schedule and largely in part because of who's left in the AFC. We're going to talk about that in the last segment of the show when we pregame the Patriots. But coming up next, Eric Wood will join us as we continue with the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
Hi, I'm Dr. Todd Shatkin here with Hall of Fame running back Thurman Thomas.
My family and I have been coming to Dr. Shatkin's dental office for years. The office is beautiful and the staff is outstanding.
Thanks, Thurman. It's been an honor for me to take care of you and your family.
For a Hall of Fame smile, go where the pros go. Dr. Todd Shatkin at the Aesthetic Associates Center.
Call today for a free consultation, 839-1700.
All right, with a man that I am responsible for making who he is. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. He is everywhere, and you know him if you're a Bills fan. Eric Wood joins us now. So let's talk a little bit about the game the other day, obviously. And this team, you know, has turned out to be, for whatever reason, and I know this has been sort of a little bit of a critique of this team, a second half team. And why do you think that is? And I know the people that are critical of the team will say, well, why can't we put together a complete game?
Yeah, I would say some of it would be the fact that oftentimes against the Bills, you're going to get some different game plans, and you might see some different stuff than you saw on film because they're going to try different things against you. To slow down this offense, you generally are going to see pressures that maybe you haven't seen before on film, but they're pulling them out against the Bills because they're trying to pull an upset. Well, I'll say that. And then, especially on the defensive side of the football, with the lack of experience we have at so many positions, sometimes it can take those guys longer to get into the flow of a game. And the fact of the matter is, when you look around, you know, throughout this defense, there's a lot of guys that aren't super experienced that have been playing out there.
Yeah, and thank you, because you sort of led me to another question I wanted to ask you about. You know, we saw it, obviously we've seen it with this team over the last 2 weeks. Vandermark having played 2 games in a row, Anderson playing the Steeler game, and to a really high level, obviously. We saw it a lot in the Kansas City game where they had 3 and sometimes 4 backups playing in that game last night against Houston. I mean, talk about how hard, especially for the Bills. The Bills have historically, really, over the last 5 years, had a really intact O-line group, right? They're almost always healthy. So talk to that about how difficult it is to plug guys in and sort of maintain that sort of rhythm and that sort of inane knowledge of what that guy next to you is going to be, how he's going to react, what he's going to do. Because there is a lot of subtlety up front, right?
There definitely is. And when you bring in guys that have a lot of experience, oftentimes those guys can gel quicker just because you've been in enough systems, you've worked with enough different guys. Oftentimes, younger guys that come into the league, sometimes it's harder to get acclimated with those guys as opposed to a new teammate that might be a 7, 8, 9 year veteran. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on at the line of scrimmage. Shoot, I was reading some JJ Watt put on Twitter last week, and it was him talking about how he would listen to certain teams that the guys that didn't necessarily know what they're doing up front, they're like coaching each other up at the line of scrimmage each play. And he's like, yeah, I have to know what my responsibility is, your formational tendencies and all that. But if you're telling me before the snap what you guys are doing, you're making my job so much easier. So you get together with an experienced offensive line, you can talk in code, you sometimes don't even have to say a word. Then you're not tipping off the defensive lineman. And then, you know, you talk about stunts and blitzes and all that goes into pass protection, especially in the NFL. Being on the same page is an absolute must, because the reality of the business is we're protecting our most valuable asset in the entire organization back there. You let one guy come free, it might be the end of your job.
So it's 2 games in a row, in my opinion, that, you know, the defense turned a game around, right? I mean, they make gigantic plays in the Steeler game and then against Cincinnati, and the rest is history. Then just the energy of the stadium, the energy of the sideline just kind of takes over. That's kind of how, you know, it's kind of been like this team's MO lately. Does that give you optimism for even better things going forward, knowing that the defense is talented enough and that the play calling, I suspect, from Bobby Babich has evolved to a place where they can make plays and they can turn games around on that side of the ball?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think it starts with the run defense. And I know that's counterintuitive. We're not making these big plays off our run defense, but by being better these last 2 games, significantly better over these last 10 quarters against the run, then you put teams in position where they feel like they got to throw the ball more often. They got to put the ball in harm's way. It was actually a run play that Joe Burrow was throwing out of that Christian Bedford makes the pick 6 on the quarterback blitz. last week against the Steelers, it was a play-action play to start the second half because they're thinking we can't run the football effectively right now. And then, Bengals get the ball back and they're still up 3, and they throw the first play of that drive because Chase Brown's averaging 3 or less yards a carry. So to me, it's correlative. You got similar playmakers that we've had out there the whole year, especially in the secondary. But now you're seeing the front seven especially play a lot better against the run, which allows those opportunities to happen. And that's coming without a super heavy pass rush at times because of all the injuries on the defensive front.
All right, let's fast forward to the Patriots now. How do you think the game plays out?
I think it'll be a tight one. I think the Bills win this one, but it's going to be a competitive game. I mean, it's going to be freezing cold in Foxborough. You're going into a road environment. If the Bills take care of the football and don't give this one away, I think it's theirs to lose. I think this defense is playing better, even better than the statistics might say right now, especially when you consider the fact that most teams aren't going to have Higgins and Chase and Gesicki and the weapons that they have, and Joe Burrow, them fighting for their playoff lives. Receivers kind of generally should have an advantage in the snow because they know which way they're going. All that being said, I like the Bills in this one.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you as always. All the best to the fam. Absolutely happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and your crew.
Yeah, likewise, brother. Always good to see you and catch up.
Okay, team, we're down by 6 with only 1 play left. It's comeback time. Yeah, we need a play. The reverse ribeye, no good. The porterhouse pitch, too risky. The strip steak sweep, that's it. Go Russell.
Touchdown!
Where would you like to have dinner tonight?
Russell's, of course.
Be my guest and let us do the rest.
It's bad going through life having to cover your face because you're embarrassed of your teeth. I wasn't comfortable at all. I didn't want dentures. I had the fixed on 6 done. It was easy. It literally changed my life. I can eat anything now. I can smile, I laugh. I don't have to cover my face anymore. It was awesome.
Mini dental implants can change your life too. You can be you again. Call us at 839-1700 for a free consultation.
Welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. It's time to go in the pocket. All right, with UFL quarterback Sam Castronova and a special guest. What's your name?
Tatum.
There it is. Future quarterback, we understand. You'll see why in a second. Sam, obviously, massive game. I think what people need to realize, and maybe don't know, is that Drake May played the worst game of his season against the Bills. What do you make of his game now throughout an entire season? He's been in the MVP talk all year long.
Yeah.
What do you make of him? What do the Bills need to do?
I think it's deservedly so. I think as a second-year quarterback, they're giving him stuff like Dan Orlovsky said as like a 5-year vet. I mean, they're giving him 4 or 5 plays to start before the snap, and he's getting them in the right situations. His pocket movement's been phenomenal. He's accurate. He's not turning the ball over. So, I mean, I think it's deservedly so. He's playing some really good football right now, and we're going to have our hands full Sunday.
And look, I mean, Travion Henderson can light it up when he wants to. You know, Stevenson when he doesn't put the ball on the turf.
Yeah.
Another good running back. I mean, the Bills have their hands full this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, the Pats have not had the hardest schedule, but they've taken care of business. So, and they beat us. So we gotta show up to play Sunday, and hopefully McDermott can kind of, I mean, he fooled Burrow even a couple times last week, so hopefully he can keep mixing up the coverages and try and fool the youngster.
I was going to say, Bobby Babich has been dialing it up when he needs to.
We don't know if it's him or McDermott, but yes.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yes. Good point. All right, stick around. Tatum, it's your turn.
Hit me.
Go ahead. Hit Dad. Welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. The Mafia is here. You know Jared, you know Sam. You probably know Rick Zurek, of course, Rick Zurek Golf. And you know this guy's dad, because this guy's dad was on the show last week. And so why don't we do father one week, son the next, representing the University at Buffalo Bulls. James McNeil, running back, 2-4 on the field. Scored a big touchdown this year in his redshirt season out of Bishop Timon Buffalo High School. Yeah. Great to have you at the table, my friend.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I just want to, talk football, get to know you guys a little bit more.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about your season and things moving forward for you over at UB, man.
Okay, so this season, it was a down season. I'll admit that. We went about 5-7, but with a coach like Coach Limbo, I know that it ain't gonna stick like that. Next year, I'm gonna be the starting running back, and we go move that forward.
Love it.
Next step.
So obviously, you're playing in the MAC. It's a really great level of football. I feel it's super underrated. Anybody that's seen a MAC game live at UB Stadium, I think, knows the level of football. And we also know the level of players that have come out of UB recently, obviously, right? You go Dolak, you look Andreessen. You mentioned Red,
yes,
the linebacker at UB currently. Jared Patterson, Brandon Oliver. MAC, obviously, right? I mean, you go down, James Starks, go down the list of players. Coyote Awasika, I'll name him. We talked about him a little bit off mic. A great lineage now of UB players going up next level. And hopefully in a couple of years, it's you, man.
Yes, sir. Hopefully.
All right. Well, welcome here. I'm going to ask you a little bit about some Bill stuff. Rick, welcome back as well.
Thank you.
You got a lot of stuff going on in the golf world.
Well, there's a little bit of snow out there right now,
yeah,
but, it's going to melt eventually. But, yeah, Rick Zurek Golf, we got Christmas out. I'm going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas before I forget that, and you guys too. But hey, you see this beautiful Buffalo Bill? You can get that at Rick Zurek Golf here, so and about half price where you get anywhere else. But yeah, things are going great.
Awesome. So if you're doing your Christmas shopping, obviously for somebody that is a golfer, that's the place to go. Or maybe they're going
kind of turning into the mini BFLO store too. I've been running into a lot of great deals on Buffalo stuff and Bill stuff. So it's a good time to come on by.
Very, very cool. And of course, for people like this guy who goes on a winter golf trip south, again, if that's your thing, go see Rick. Tell people where you are, by the way. Just
Transit in Genesee, right behind Audi of Buffalo.
There you go. You're really easy to find, so if you're a golfer, take advantage. You play golf?
I'm going to try to learn now.
Hey, free lessons.
Well
we got free lessons.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Well done. All right. Well, guys, let's talk about the game against the Bengals, obviously. And, James, I'll start with you. If there's one upside for this team, it's that they've made defensive plays that literally turned both games around. So talk a little bit to that.
I feel like they made a lot of insane defensive plays, but my main focus of the game was how the tight ends really just they exploded this game. They were a very big piece in the offense, moving the ball in the first half and even the second half, and I just felt like that was a really good point to hit on.
Okay, let me stick with you for a real quick question. Obviously, James Cook has turned into a very elite running back since he's come into the league, obviously with the Bills. Is he a guy that you sort of emulate? Are there other guys in the NFL that you really love that you want to be like?
Absolutely. I feel like he's a very versatile back when it comes to catching the ball, running the ball. His vision on the field is absolutely insane. So like an all-around good running back like that, of course I'd love to be like that.
How would you describe your game?
My game? I'll say I'm a very, very physical runner. I'll say I could do it all. I could definitely catch out the backfield, but I'm not scared to lower my pads at all.
Yeah.
6'2", 220, so I want to make people feel that when I'm running.
Love it. And that's kind of the direction the league is going in, right? A little bit of power, a little bit of speed, a little bit of athleticism, a little bit of hands, right? You got the whole thing. So awesome. Rick, over to you now. So optimism for you going forward with the fact that even though the Bills are falling back so far or don't have good first halves, so the defense, even though they're depleted, are still making plays and turning games around to the point that, here, Josh, here's the ball. Or, oh, Josh, we just gave you a few more points, so the game's a little bit closer than it was. I mean, how much more optimism does it give you knowing that that's been happening now on a regular?
When I was going to come on the show, I thought back to 1973, Rick Gaenzler and Al Meltzer were doing the games for the Bills. And after OJ got 2003, Rick turned to them and said, "Gentlemen, I don't know if you realize what an honor it has been for us to call every inch of 2003 yards, because I feel right now, I don't think any of us realize how honored and lucky we are to have watched a quarterback and have him on our team as Josh Allen." So, it's just overwhelming. That game last week was overwhelming. The stats that I can look back at when we were playing Baltimore first game, 40-25 with 4 minutes to go, we win. 28-18 with 7 minutes to go against last week's game, and we win. If he's in the game, I tell you, I'm never going home early.
Yeah, awesome. And he watches the show.
course he does.
And hi, Josh. And he'll be happy to know that you said that, right?
Right,
And he
I'm
made
telling
mention of it at the end of the game as well, that he was happy that people stuck around. All right, Sam, let's go to you. Knowing the rest of the AFC and the way everything is playing out, right? I don't know. 3 weeks ago, there's no way I'm thinking the way I'm feeling today. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have 17, we always have a chance. And every year, it's kind of, I've never been worried about the offense. I mean, regardless, the receivers sometimes struggle getting open, but Josh just makes plays. I mean, the first half, the 2 fourth downs he got, we were going to be down 14-3 if he doesn't make the same play to Shakir. It's going to come down to the defense going forward. And if we can somehow keep getting turnovers, it's a dangerous game to play, because if you have a game where you don't get turnovers and you're not stopping the other team, that's kind of what's happened all our playoff losses. So believe it when I see it.
And oh, by the way, James Cook, we mentioned him early, right? We mentioned him early in the segment. He's put the ball on the ground a couple times in the past couple of games. And what do you think about that?
I mean, that was a pretty debilitating fumble there that could have probably resulted in us losing the game if we didn't kind of turn it on with the defense and get that big turnover by Bedford. But something I want to touch on is, you know, I don't think people realize we played a very good team Sunday, and we beat them. We played Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I don't care if they're 4-8. I don't care if they're 4-9. That, to me, that's the best you're going to see, and we came out alive, and I think that is a really good sign going into the playoff round.
I would agree with you, except for the fact that the difference in the game is a defensive touchdown, right? I mean, offensively, the two offenses, Cincinnati wins this game if Benford doesn't make that play. So great stuff. Okay, let's get to our trivia question, and then we're going to get to your predictions for the game. Okay, this is for some Sorrentino's dough. So here's your question. What defensive tackle listed by Pro Football Focus at 365 pounds had his best years in Buffalo? You can say it if you think you know it.
No, I don't.
Okay, 19 and a half sacks while he was in Buffalo. Played on 7 teams in his career over 17 years. 4-time Pro Bowler, and he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Who are we talking about?
Sam Adams?
No.
That would have been my guess.
No.
Washington?
Ted Washington, once again! Jared saves all of you, and you all eat at Sorrentino's. Well done, my
You're
friend.
a historian, that's what it is.
I guess.
Yeah, that's why he does what he's all up here, man.
He's a gentleman and a scholar.
Right, a gentleman and a football scholar, at least. All right, let's get your predictions. What do you think, James? You first. So this game, score.
I'd say 24-17 Bills.
Okay, Rick.
Win the turnover battle, you win the game. I'm thinking more of a shootout, and I'm thinking 31-27 Buffalo.
All right, on the road. Preventing the Patriots from putting the caps and the T-shirts on. What do you think?
I'll go 27-24 Bills.
All right, everybody's liking the Bills. You'll see what we like when we come back. James, congratulations on all your success. Continued forward for you at UP. Go buy some golf stuff at Rick Zurek Golf.
Oh, yeah.
Back after this at the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show.
I am so happy with my experience that I had at I Smile Spas today. Got my teeth professionally whitened. I have months of results in less than an hour. No pain, seriously, not even a sting. They're not sensitive. You leave with a kit to continue your whitening. Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy I ever did this. I can't stop smiling.
Western New York. Smile again with confidence. Call 43-SMILE today.
It means a lot to be able to work with my dad to continue this legacy that we have going on.
I had many implants. Once I got them, it was like the old me came back.
The changes you can make in such a short period of time in somebody's life, have somebody in the chair crying because they finally have a full set of teeth. And I think the only way to do it in that type of time period for that type of price is really the mini implant.
Mini dental implants can change your life too. Call us at 839-1700 for a free consultation.
Welcome back to the Shatkin First Down Buffalo pregame show. Rich Gaenzler, Dr. Jared Shatkin. Let's break down the Bills and the Pats. A lot on the line in this game. Obviously, the Pats beat the Bills in the first meeting in Buffalo by a field goal. It was Drake May's worst game of the year. But, I mean, when you break that out, that kind of makes sense, right? It's the Bills, and the rest of the teams they played are just not good. So, yes, he played well against the teams he was supposed to play against, exploited them as he should have. But here he is now playing in a massive game where in their perspective, the division is on the line. Like with the win, they win the division. So in terms of motivation, we talked with Eric Wood earlier in the interview about who's going to be more fired up, who's going to be more motivated. Who do you think it is?
Well, I think the Bills are more motivated because they're staying in the division race. The Patriots have a couple weeks now to clinch. So I think the Bills are going to come in there more motivated and ready to give the Patriots a big game.
And that's important to remember. We've talked about this on the show many times about how seemingly the Bills have gone on the road and looked for whatever reason flat coming out of the tunnel for road games. They absolutely have to avoid that in this game.
Yeah, they got to get up early. If they don't get up early, this offense is going to kill them. They're a well-oiled machine.
Drake May has been really good, 72% complete this year. How about this for just a weird stat, but somehow I came upon it. His air yards per attempt, 9.33.
But you know what? I looked at the offenses today, and the number 2 ranked offense in the NFL right now is the Buffalo Bills.
Makes sense. Makes
sense. So, as much as I've been hemming and hawing about us needing receivers, I guess it's looking a little bit dumb right now because we're number 2 in the NFL behind the Cowboys.
And here's the thing, too. What happened in that first game, Bills gave it away 3 times, 11 penalties in that game, I think 8 in the first half. It was brutal. The Bills just did not play well in that game.
I think the Bills are not going to come out flat this game. I think they know what's on the line. And I do think the Patriots are down for a small letdown. I'm not saying they're not dangerous in the playoffs. They're not dangerous going forward. But, I'm pretty confident about the Bills in this game. I like the way we've been playing the last couple weeks. I like how Sean McDermott coaches against young quarterbacks. And, well, I think it's going to be a shootout. I like the Bills having a good edge in this game.
So New England is without Will Campbell. That's pretty massive. Also out Milton Williams. I mean, these are 2 really big guys on their lines of scrimmage, offense and defense, that they're missing in this game that they didn't in the first meeting.
It's not going to be easy. They play good football. They have a smart coach, and the way they've been playing offensively, defensively, they've been playing well. But there's places where the Bills can attack. I think they can attack in the run game. I think it's another James Cook game. And then from there, the play action pass opens up, and Josh Allen could be a hero again.
Thank you for using the word attack, because I was going to say exactly the same thing. The Bills have to be aggressive on both sides of the ball and just beat them up on both sides of the ball and basically teach the Patriots a lesson. Look, you guys are the young studs. We're the vets. We've been here. We've done it. So, all right, let's get your prediction on the game.
Yeah, I like the Bills. I like them 31-27, just like James here said. I think it's going to be a bit of a shootout.
I'll go 31-17. I think the Bills do take the ball away more in this game. I figure the running backs maybe put it on the turf, and maybe May throws a couple of picks and looks a little bit less efficient than he's been. All right, so I'll take the Bills, 31-17 in this game. Got to thank Dr. Todd Shatkin. Got to thank you, Dr. Jared Shatkin, Aesthetic Associates, Sorrentinos, Russells, Napolis, and of course you for watching at home or where you're watching the show. We appreciate you. Go Bills! This has been the Shatkin First Down Buffalo Pregame Show.
In the Pocket is sponsored by Mini Dumpster Rental. Call 716-429-6362. This has been a production of the Shatkin Sports Network.